Hey there everyone, this is Jeremy, the Music Andy, and we're here today to talk about Melt My Eyes, See Your Future from Denzel Curry. Currently residing in Los Angeles, California, originally coming from Florida, Denzel is releasing his 5th studio album, continuing that impressive discography he has built so far. I heard Denzel for the first time back when Nostalgic 64 came out on SoundCloud. I was immediately drawn in from these songs like N64, Zone, and Parents. These tracks were southern hip-hop, trap, some cloud rap going on in there too, and they were super impressive, especially for the fact that Denzel was only 18 when he made this album. Fast forward throughout all these years, and Denzel has become a lot more experimental, taking a lot different forms of approaches with his tracks, being a lot more in the hardcore hip-hop side during the middle 2 albums, Taboo being the big one that a lot of fans kind of caught wind of and jumped on the bandwagon of. The flows have gotten a lot better. The lyrics have gotten a lot better, sticking in that conscious hip-hop and that political hip-hop for the most part. But like I said before, having a lot of the hardcore hip-hop elements in there as well. Denzel has been constantly evolving the rap game, the hip-hop game, whether it be intentional or unintentional. I think Taboo, like I said, was a big album, kind of pushing out trap metal to the mainstream narrative. Lately, though, with this last album and the album before it, Denzel's kind of taken his foot off the gas a bit. Before, it was a lot more aggressive, those hard-hitting 808s. Now have been a lot more reserved. Things are done in a lot more of a soulful way, a jazzy way, and just a very overall softer approach. With all of that being said, I just want to jump straight into this album and tell you what Denzel has brought to this in more detail. Right off the bat, I was excited upon seeing the first feature on this one, Robert Glasper, with the first song, Melt Sessions 1. And Robert Glasper is known for more of neo-soul, contemporary R&B, kind of making, instrumentals, its own track with the album's Black Radio, and doing some covers of old songs, Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit being one of them. If you haven't heard that track, please check it out. Going back to Melt Session number 1, I think that these are 2 artists that were supposed to be working together. Denzel has a very direct, low, commanding kind of flow, and Robert is a lot more cloud-like, a lot more misty with the instrumentals that are making, and there are some very contrasting tones going on here, but the drums on this are a lot more aggressive, they're a lot more in your face, and it kind of complements Denzel's voice instead of, being 100% contrasting on the instrumental beats on this one. Denzel is going to tackle a lot of themes that are going to be repeated throughout this album. Those themes kind of tying in regards to Denzel does not like the current world that we're a part in. The society that we have built looks back on a lot of the people and just kind of forgets about them. There's a lot of, trouble going on in the streets. Denzel struggles a lot with, demons, gods, religious values. Later in the album, refers to himself as the higher power, which I personally enjoyed hearing. And then some topics about, mental illnesses, self-reflection, introspective thoughts, and, the storytelling that goes along with it. Upon saying all of this, you can obviously tell that Denzel is no slouch in the booth. And on this album, and this track in particular, definitely not. Walkin, the next track, only furthers this opinion even more. And if you want me to be honest, I think that Denzel's not really a slouch in the booth on any of these songs in this album, except for maybe one. Walkin has Denzel kind of continue with this trashy drum kit, a lot more down-tempo. Denzel's very slow off the bat with this, but quickly catches momentum and just tears up this track. I love the hook on this one, the dirty, rotten, filthy home, the little, matching the beat, little walk that he does is done very well. And again, the words that he's saying are, again, to me at least, they're correct. Things aren't getting better, and we're not going to do anything about it until we all join together and do something about it. Worst comes to worst, again, stays on that down-tempo, trashy kit. But this time, Denzel's a lot more slower, and he even sings on the chorus on this one, and Denzel's singing voice is actually very pleasant. I think that this is a solid track. I think from Walkin to this one, it's a nice transition, and they kind of fit together nicely, but not blandly. They still are very good tracks on their own part. The The last is a very nice driving track. It has a very nice vibey feel to it. You kind of get lost into it with the flow that Denzel is portraying on this one. He's sticking to the beat, never really divorcing from it. Lyrics are tackling that things are only getting worse and worse each day on the streets. Any day could be your last day, typical stuff. And again, I'm going to have to agree with them. Things are getting worse. Mental and Troubles both kind of slow everything down. Things are not as aggressive, as trashy, especially on the kit. They're more replaced with bright keys and kind of hazy synths and soulful vocals. And on the track Mental, there's a part where a kid is kind of featured screaming on it, and it's kind of looped throughout it. And honestly, I didn't think it was part of the track, and I kept looking out my window to make sure that the neighborhood was okay. And the neighborhood's okay. Going further onto this just is me saying, again, I like these contrasting themes that are going on in the album. I like when things are more cloud-like. They're a lot more, floaty for Denzel to be a lot more commanding and walk on top of. And I think it frees his flow a little bit better, and he adds some very unique styles to it. Then we get to the one track that I did not like that much, and that is X-Wing. I think that it is a solid track. It has some nice beats. The violin that's on it is nice, but the way that Denzel is flowing on this, and the lyrics are just more so flexes, which I could take or leave for the most part. But the chorus that's on this, when it gets to the auto-tune, the diamonds on my neck gleam, I didn't feel it as much. Then I get the biggest surprise on these next 5 tracks that end out this album. And I'm going to say this in the best way that I can. The first half of this album and a little bit past it have all been solid. They've all been well received from my ears, and I enjoy every single one of the tracks, except, like I said, X-Wing. But they never really blew me away. They never really left me thinking about them too much after I would finish the album, except for these last 5 tracks. I think that lyrically, Denzel is his best here. I think flow-wise, he's the best here. And I think instrumentally, we have the best, most experimental approaches, free-flowing approaches on the beats. Like I was saying, Denzel is switching up flows from each one of these tracks, never really repeating himself. Angels, Sanjuro, and Zatoichi are the 3 tracks that really grabbed my attention and just kind of held me and shook me around. The jungle drums that are on Zatoichi are absolutely insane. Denzel is matching them, really adding to this manic frenzying feeling that's going on in the track. Then it transitions into the Eyez, which I think is a very nice ender. It kind of closes this album out perfectly for me. Another thing I want to mention really fast before ending this review is that all of the features on this were fantastic, and they all did a good job of adding their own unique style to it and complimenting Denzel. Overall, I think Denzel did what Denzel usually does with music, and he made another fantastic album. He did it more on his own terms. I know that the last album got a little bit of a slap back from the community because they like that more hardcore, that more trap style from Denzel, that more aggressive approach, and not the softer approach as much. Again, though, I think that he's heavily improved from the last album, and I still think that this is a sound that works very well for him. I'm going to go 8.3 Nintendo 64s out of 10 on this one. What did you think of this album? What albums would you like me to review in the future? Please leave a comment below and let me know. Subscribe if you like the content, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Please check out this album.